Princess Sorelith expected a slave, not a legend. The manifest promised a captured human from the frontier. Broken by chains, fit for display, another body to prove House Valer's power. Then the doors opened, and the human was brought inside. Tall, scarred, broad-shouldered, carrying himself with the stillness of a loaded weapon. He did not kneel. He did not lower his gaze. He simply looked up at her, and the room felt suddenly smaller. This man was not defeated. The broker announced him human male, war captive, compliant. But the identity slate flickered and revealed another line beneath the slave tag. Captain Adrian Vale, Terran 9th Expeditionary. Survivor of Ashfall, presumed dead. Sorelith nearly dropped the slate. Every cadet knew Ashfall. One human battalion, holding a moon base for 9 days so civilian ships could escape. And when the broker struck the control rod against his palm and ordered, "Kneel," Adrian Vale turned his head with the calm expression of a man deciding whether mercy was still necessary. The chamber went silent. Guards shifted on their rifles. Because something in the human's face warned every instinct in the room that the balance had changed. The broker stepped closer, grinning for the audience. He never touched the collar. Adrian moved first. One twist, one step, one crack of bone. The rod hit the floor, the broker screamed, and 2 guards collapsed before their weapons came level. There was nothing wild in the violence. Every motion was clean and final. He tore the sparking collar from his throat and let it fall at his feet. Then looked up at the balconies, while alarms began to howl. "Now," he said, "does anyone else want to pretend I belong to them?" Panic broke across the nobles. Some ran, some shouted for execution squads. But Sorelith saw what the others missed. He was mapping exits and firing lanes. He was still commanding a battlefield. Then the upper dome exploded inward in a storm of glass and smoke. Black armored soldiers dropped through the breach on gravlines. Human strike troops, fast and precise. One landed near the princess and aimed at her chest. But Adrian's voice cut through the gunfire. Negative. She's not the target. In seconds, the room belonged to them. One squad jammed the palace grid. One secured the cages beneath the stage. One cut down the elite guards at the western doors. And Adrian walked straight toward Sorelith. "Your house bought veterans, civilians, and children from border worlds," he said. "We're taking them back tonight. Help us open the vaults. Or stand with the people who built them. It should have been easy to refuse." Empire, bloodline, survival, every lesson of her upbringing told Sorelith to call for his death. Yet the lies around her were suddenly too visible. House Valer had always called the trade lawful reclamation. But below the auction floor, she had heard crying since childhood. And now the truth stood before her in broken chains. She looked past Adrian and saw human soldiers lifting terrified children from cages with impossible gentleness. Saw medics treating wounded prisoners before their own men. This was not slaughter. This was rescue carried out by people who had every reason to hate and still chose discipline. That struck her harder than the gunfire. Monsters avenge themselves first. Heroes save who they can. "If I help you," she asked. "What happens to my house?" Adrian did not hesitate. "It answers for what it built." Another explosion rolled through the upper halls. His eyes stayed locked on hers. "And if you help quickly, maybe fewer die before dawn." That line broke the last of her hesitation. Sorelith unclasped the sapphire signet at her throat and let it fall to the floor. Nobles who saw it gasped. "The vaults are beneath the east wing," she said. "They opened to ruling blood." "Mine will work," Adrian answered, with one curt nod. They moved through the palace like a storm with direction. Sorelith, opening sealed passages. Adrian's soldiers clearing ambushes before they formed. The deeper they descended, the uglier the truth became. Rows of cells, restraint racks, branding tools. Records listing living beings as inventory and sale value. Every chamber opened was another crime dragged into daylight. Every prisoner stumbling free was another witness the Dominion would never silence. Palace security tried to hold the lower transit hall. Adrian shattered the defense in under a minute, advancing through smoke. Dragging a wounded soldier behind cover, before returning to the front? Sorelith had been taught humans were impulsive and unstable, yet everything she saw was the opposite. He was controlled, tactical, relentless, shaped by grief, but not ruled by it. That was what made him frightening. Not rage, but restraint. Because restraint meant every enemy he dropped had been chosen when they reached the final vault gate. Sorelith pressed her bloodied palm to the Imperial seal, and the locks began to cycle open. From within came the sound she would remember for the rest of her life. Not screaming, but fragile hope waking up. Hundreds of prisoners blinked into the corridor light, and Adrian stepped aside so the first child carried out could see dawn through the breach above them. "You're going home," he said. By sunrise, House Valor was finished. Its commanders arrested, its accounts seized, its crest burned from the towers after the evidence flooded every public network on the planet. And everywhere the same image spread faster than censorship could kill it. Princess Sorelith, beside Captain Adrian Vale, as the prisoners emerged from hidden vaults into morning light later. On the shattered western terrace, while rescue ships from Earth descended through dawn like steel comets, Sorelith found Adrian watching the city below, smoke rising from the palace he had broken open. "I thought they were sending me a slave," she said. Adrian glanced at her, a faint smile touching his mouth. "That was their mistake," he answered. "They forgot a human can lose everything and still remain dangerous." Then he looked back toward the long lines of survivors boarding rescue craft, and his voice turned quieter, heavier. "Give us one more battle, and we remember who we are." In that moment, Sorelith finally understood why the galaxy feared humanity. Not because humans loved war, but because when they found the helpless in chains, they fought like the dead were watching, and they did not stop until every lock was broken.